I love painting pet portraits. It's a good, relaxing thing for me to do. And then it lets me give back, but also lets me spread the word. So a spot of paint by Kim is tied to on brand designs. So right there, now that's a little bit of visibility that I'm getting for my business. I'm giving back to the community and the nonprofit, and I'm getting my name put out there. So, as a creative, I knew that I always wanted to run a business, but I didn't know the businessy things. I'm Kim Russo, owner of On Brand Designs, creator of the Profitable Brand Designer course, and this is my cute man over here.
I thought we were going to say handsome man, but I'm handsome man Jeremy, co-hosting the show with Kim, hoping to share some knowledge and laughs as we share our journey together as an entrepreneurial couple.
Thanks for being here, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Hello, everyone, and happy holidays. If you're listening to this on the day it comes out, we are close to Christmas and Hanukkah and all the things. And today I wanted to talk about the gift of giving and how I've worked with nonprofits over the years to help not only give back, but to grow my business and get more visibility and credibility. So maybe I'll just start by kind of giving a list of all the nonprofits that
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
I've been involved in.
Because that'll take 30 minutes.
So I am as you know, if you've been following us, I'm a people pleaser to the core, and my love language is gift giving, not receiving. Receiving is hard for me to do, but gift giving and people pleasing and bringing joy and making everybody's lives easier is what brings me joy and helps me to carry on. And so giving back to nonprofits has been an amazing experience to be able to do that in a impactful and, not sure what adjective to put here, but just makes me feel good.
Yeah. Well, that's your nature is to obviously give back to people. And I think this episode is really just is to show people that you give back in just the form of not even monetary, but your time, your spirit, and your love of other people. Because we could, like you said, we want to talk through some of the nonprofits. I could mention. I mentioned a couple. You mentioned a couple because there's just certain things that are on my mind right now. Like we talked about one of our friends' uh, nonprofits is like Going Places, and that's where we help, or she helps, give bikes to kids that are less fortunate at certain schools in certain areas around our town. And we've had the opportunity to go and help on one particular occasion build those bikes, and so it's a great cause. One event we attended last night was the Dress for Success, where now you'll have to correct me because I think I got it, but that's where this charity actually helped maybe, I don't want to say underprivileged, but women that are trying to enter the workforce dress successfully to go and land interviews and basically help them from not only look presentable, but in the interview process, even helping them find jobs. And I still don't even really know how you got connected to that. Obviously, I know how you got connected with Going Places, but then you Dress for Success. And we can talk about those two, but then you're also a member of the AMA, American Marketing Association here in Charleston, and on the board. And then so just different, and maybe I'm missing a couple, but that's just your nature is to not only just giving back in a I guess you say less selfish way that kind of brings your attention to people to want to work with you, just being an entrepreneur out in the community. So
yeah, and I'd say they all kind of like trickled into the others. So going in a list, there's Going Places, which is the bikes. We'll talk a little bit more about it, but they give bikes to schools that have underprivileged kids. Then there's also, yes, American Market Association, which is kind of giving back and providing educational and speakers for the marketing community, the design and marketing community here in Charleston, but it's a national nonprofit that has um, different chapters in different cities and towns and things like that. So there's also one at College of Charleston that we sometimes collaborate in some events with too. There is the Dress for Success. There's Make a Wish
Yeah, I was
now.
gonna say Make a Wish too. Yeah, that was, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's just the biggest ones that I work with right now.
Right.
But I think they all kind of were connected and kind of led to each other in a way. So
Mm-hmm.
Going Places was really the first nonprofit that I really got involved with in Charleston. And, became friends with Katie, who runs it, and really just loved the whole idea of it. So what Katie does is she organizes these bike builds, and people in the community come together and we build these bikes, and then she has these big huge bike reveals. And so all of these nonprofits too have galas, and so galas is a great way to raise money between silent auctions and live auctions, the tickets, all the things, and just bringing awareness and bringing people together to learn more about the nonprofit. So started out being a sponsor for her gala.
Well, you're forgetting the best part, and there's a lot of good food and drinks there too.
Yeah, it is a good time. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I started to donate. Not only did I sponsor her the first event, but I donated a pet portrait. So I don't know if I've talked about this here or not, but I also paint pet portraits. I have an Etsy shop called A Spot of Paint by Kim, and I also teach art classes on how to paint pet portraits. And so something that I do for a lot of nonprofits, even the ones that I'm not personally involved in, is donate a custom pet portrait to the silent auction, which is really great because not only does it spread, you know, or give an opportunity for the nonprofits to make money, and it's usually outbidded. Like sometimes they've had a couple galas or events at silent auctions where they've closed the bidding and somebody silent auctions silent auctions, but they've closed the bidding and then somebody's like, oh shoot, I really wanted that pet portrait, and then two people will. So the nonprofit is getting double the amount of money raised. I love painting pet portraits. It's a good, relaxing thing for me to do, and then it lets me give back, but also lets me spread the word. So A Spot of Paint by Kim is tied to On Brand Designs. So right there, now that's a little bit of visibility that I'm getting for my business. I'm giving back to the community and the nonprofit, and I'm getting my name put out there. So I've donated to, honestly, I don't even have a list in front of me. There's nonprofits in New York City, there's nonprofits in Indiana that people have reached out for people to donate items for their auctions, and I'm always happy to do that. Then from Going Places, Katie and I were approached to, at the same time, to join the American Marketing Association and join the board for that. So that kind of led into me. It's been over a year, almost 2 years that I've been on the board, about a year and a half, and I am the programs director. So all volunteer positions. And with that, it's setting up different speakers and events for the community in marketing. And we had been doing coffee talks. We're going to be restructuring it a little bit, but there's been so many times too, and it's not easy to do something full time when you're so busy trying to run a business and help all these other, people and spaces and nonprofits, and to do something that you're constantly having to rally people around and raise money and funds and things like that and ask for help all the time. It's not easy. And so you have been so supportive to me, because every event that I was trying so hard to get people to come to and support these speakers that I'm booking, you are always there. And not only is you're always there, but you help me go run errands, pick up coffee, wake up early, miss the gym. Like,
yeah, unfortunately.
But you've been so supportive to go to all the events to help me out. And, that's also helping the nonprofits too, by you being there and you supporting and you helping. And then from there, I met a friend named Stephanie Barlow. She has a marketing agency, and that's how I ended up becoming involved in Dress for Success. So Stephanie has been doing their marketing for them for a couple of years, and this is the third year that they've done awards to kind of give back to, or not give back, but recognize leaders in the community that have given back. And so I was given one of 15 other women in the community were given an award called Your Hour, Your Power. And so with that responsibility to get this award was giving, putting up the initiative to help raise funds for this nonprofit. And so, yes, you were right before. So this nonprofit is about um, providing suits and business attire for women who can't get it themselves. And so whether that's a college grad that doesn't have the finances for it, or, a single mother, or even a non-single mother, but any woman who do not have the proper training and assets to go and get a job. And some of these women that, so we were actually at the gala last night where I received my award, and some of the stories are pretty incredible. Like some of these women that started out there are like have big time jobs.
Yeah, one woman was working with like J.P. Morgan or something like. Wasn't one of them something?
Yeah, it
Pretty,
was.
yeah,
They were pretty high up and
yeah.
running companies.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, it's pretty interesting, and that's a good nonprofit as well. But then yeah, I don't know if you want to talk about that one more. But then you also had the Make a Wish.
yeah. So well, to go back to keep talking about Dress for Success for a little
we're
bit.
not done with that one.
We're not done with it because I also want to talk about AMA too. So these two kind of correlate. So I am the graphic designer for the Going Places nonprofit. I end up doing a lot of graphics for American Marketing Association. And because of my ties now with Dress for Success, I created the logo and program for their gala last night. So I created a logo a couple weeks ago for this AMA Spark Awards, which was our big fundraiser to give out awards to other marketers. So people submit, they get sent to another chapter to get reviewed, and then we get to give these awards and recognize the work done. So in all three of these, it's really helped with the visibility of my business too, because I'm also creating graphics. So part of me being involved with some of these nonprofits is to be able to give my talent to them and provide them with logos and graphics and sponsorship decks and programs and things like that. And it has helped broaden my reach tremendously because I'm getting these shout outs. So last night we got a shout out in front of a room of 130 people and recognized for, the help and the work and the, showing what I can do. And it's just reaching so many more people each time I create this for somebody. So now I can talk about Make-A-Wish.
Yeah, I mean, but that is good though, because like when nonprofits are, I won't say consider them networking events, but they are a way to network. And if you give back to the people that are in need, people are going to recognize that. So it's not always I would guess you would say it's not always an immediate payout, but in the long term, it's a way to kind of get your name out there, which is going to get you business because people are going to see that you're not all about.
It's a positive way to put yourself out there because you're giving at the same time.
Yeah, because you're not all about just you and what it can be for you. Because I think a lot of people know this Zig Ziglar quote: "If you give other people what they need, you'll automatically get what you need in return." So that's a positive thing for getting out there and, yes, again, networking in a sense, but just giving back to the community, not really expecting anything in return, but people will notice that. So, and that kind of leads into Make-A-Wish, because you obviously will tell more of the story, but you had an opportunity to work with a young guy in tech school here in town, Trident Tech, and he was in the graphic design program there at Tech, and you had an opportunity to meet with him on a day and take a few hours to kind of educate him. So I'll kind of let you talk more about that.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of turned into something that I didn't really expect, but Make-A-Wish reached out to me. They had this young man in their program, and his wish was to shadow a graphic designer because he wanted to be a graphic designer. And so, kind of talking about how everything led into each other. So, we talked about going places, you know, getting more involved. And then from there, Katie and I got involved in AMA. And then at one of the AMA events, Katie had actually, Katie's a connector with everybody, but she had introduced me to um, a girl named Lauren. Lauren at the time was working for a marketing agency or for a realty agency doing their marketing. She had switched over. She was on my committee for a couple of the events that I did in the beginning when I first joined the board, but she left that position and worked for Make-A-Wish doing Make-A-Wish's marketing. And so being involved in one nonprofit, I met somebody that then led me into this other nonprofit that has been super rewarding. So Josh came in here and he shadowed me for the day. And then it just kind of turned into kind of this ongoing mentorship. So trying to help out as much as I can and balancing all of, helping out, all these nonprofits because it does make me feel good and it lights my heart up, but also making sure that I have the time and capacity to help all of the paying clients too.
Well, yeah, and that's another thing that's we would like to talk about is just the fact that you can only give so much. You still have to have that time for yourself and make sure that you're getting the actual client work done, which kind of, as we said, leads the nonprofit work leads to building new clients, but then you have to make sure everything comes full circle to where you can pay attention and I think for you that's something that not in a bad way, but I've helped you create those barriers to say you can't give so much of your time to this. At the end of the day, you still have to say, okay, is this rewarding? Because I don't want to say that like rewarding. Yes, it's rewarding, but someone like yourself that gives so much of themselves, sometimes it could be a detriment to how it makes you feel if you're giving too much of yourself and you don't put up those barriers because
boundaries.
The boundaries, yes, because givers like yourself, you have to pay attention. And even if you have to have someone, because I think if not to toot my horn or anything, but if Kim didn't have someone to pull the reins back on all the things that she's doing, she's just the type of person that'll give. And with a giving heart that she has, if is and I know where this came from because like the 5 love languages, if you talk about like filling a bucket too much and the other buckets aren't being filled, then you're going to run into a situation where you're just felt left empty. Like I'm doing so much for these people and then you're not getting enough in return. So there has to be boundaries when you're working to, work with, and not only just nonprofits, just anything in general in life is just giving too much of something and not getting enough in return. So yeah.
Yeah. But it's, and that's why you've been such an important part of my business development and growth, and having somebody, like you is so important. I feel like as creatives that we can get so buried into what we do. Because, I can share all the things with you and you're not only supportive, but you also guide me and give me advice and help me protect those boundaries because I do love to give and like I do love to make a difference in somebody's lives, and that's that will always be, and it really does light me up. And we went to surprise Josh for his birthday and it was the most amazing feeling. And and one of the things I do want to say is like Jeremy comes to me with everything all the time, no questions, like so supportive, and is even my content content person. Because another way that giving back can help be rewarding too for you is to share it. So building up that visibility and credibility and that trust factor is super important when growing your business. And I want to give a sneak into what I'm doing in my life besides sitting behind a computer desk all day, which is partially true, but it's a good way to share people like this is who I am and this is the kind of person I am. And so it is content sometimes just to get that and show, what it is that I'm doing and how I'm being honored and how I'm giving back and the lives that I'm changing and hopefully and touching. And so it really does. If I was to work with a student now, it's a certain level. It's time to up level your business and help and give back.
Yeah, and you have to again go back to those boundaries like you did. I think that's super important, and I've always been. It's just my nature. Like yes, I love to give to other people and help other people out, but I've always kind of been that person that can tell you no, and not in a harsh way, but just I don't I don't allow people to really just push past a boundary that I feel like I need to make for myself, because at the end of the day, you don't. I mean, you're going to put yourself in a bad mental state or feel a certain type of way if you're letting people just kind of put everything on you, or feel like you have to accept every invitation to do something or be a part of something. It really boils down to just figuring out what makes you happy, and if filling your plate to the brim of just having everything on your plate, if that makes you feel happy, more power to you. But a lot of people, get overwhelmed, especially in the world we live in today. There's so many distractions, so many things going on, so many people asking of others, of you, of what you can do for others. It's always important to be a little selfish and make sure that you are creating those boundaries, because at the end of the day, you're going to be the person that's really sitting there thinking, because it's just human nature to feel, again, selfish or a little bit more egocentric, to like, I'm doing so much for others and these people aren't doing this for me, as much as of a giver as someone might be. Yeah, so I think that's an important thing to realize as well too. So
Yeah. Well, it's also do what makes you feel happy and be aligned with the programs that make you feel happy.
right, yeah.
But giving back is so rewarding, and I would say hands down everybody should be doing it if they can.
Yeah, 100%. I like that, and so I lean into some of the things that I've so in the past with some of the financial work that I've done. I dove into working with the senior markets, with some of my one of the financial firms that I worked with. I really gravitated to that senior market, and I don't know if that's because I have close relationship with like my grandparents or whatever, but I always have fun talking with seniors, and a few years have gone by where I wasn't as heavily involved in that senior market, and then now I'm seeing myself realign with the senior market, and that the senior market is not necessarily a non-profit, but it is me giving back to that market, in the form of, I do Medicare insurance through Advantage and supplemental plans, and that is very confusing for sometimes even for myself. But imagine a senior being able to try to understand all of that. And I will go to senior communities and do speaking events. We'll host ice cream socials. Recently, I did a cookie decorating not contest, but we just decorated some cookies for Christmas, and just being able to explain to that senior population how their Medicare insurance works, how final expense works, how retirement protection works, and all this other stuff. You kind of, and it's very rewarding for someone to say, I never knew any of this, and I need to sit down, because I never presented as a salesy type thing. I always presented as giving back to that community on a very confusing and like very just jargon driven like environment, to where they're being bombarded with just so much crap on the TV and getting phone calls, and just they don't understand everything that goes along with it. So laying it out in layman's terms to help them understand is very rewarding for me, um, because that's sometimes an abused segment of our population, and can be taken advantage of through scammy tactics. I always tell them, be aware of anyone calling you on the phone. People feel more at ease working with someone face to face. I try to work in my local community here. So that's kind of part of my, giving back to a certain demographic, which, but Kim knows all the old ladies love me, especially when I bring them cookies and ice cream.
Cookies and ice cream, and you just so handsome.
Yeah.
Your handsome man self.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I think it's, and again, we're in the season of giving,
Yeah.
so I think that's our focal point, is to make sure, we're not only doing only for ourselves, because I think people in human nature, I think we're all on this earth to really give back to each other, because it'd be a sad world if we were all so, egocentric and self-centered. And
Hmm.
I think you get, ultimately in life, I believe you get a lot more back when you put yourself out into the
Hmm.
universe, rather than keeping all your talents and staying to yourself. And you're very introverted, but I've seen you come into your extroverted nature so much in the past, few years we've been together. So, taking that, and putting it out into the world to help others is really a great thing.
Yeah. Well, you never know how many doors it can open, and to get involved, it's, you know, to get involved in something that's going to help others rather than just getting involved in something that's only going to help yourself, it will always come back full circle.
Mm-hmm.
So, what you put out there is what you receive. And so, everything that I've done has impacted me in such a positive way and has opened up so many more doors.
Right.
And even just the pet portraits alone, not even to do with anything else, but I mean, I've got 4 to do this holiday, and I'm need to schedule time for it, but that's all for it. And when every time I paint those paintings, I'm knowing that somebody is benefiting from this painting that I'm doing. And also just to be somebody who is giving back all the time. Like, for example, there was just a Facebook post of a random, oh no, it wasn't a Facebook, it was a networking group that I'm in, but it's a virtual one only. And somebody had put up a board called, it's the Entrepreneur League. Somebody put up a post needing things for a silent auction for their nonprofit, never heard of the nonprofit, and offered to contribute. And so I also do custom painted wine bottles. So I offered both, and ended up getting on a call for the woman who was helping organize the whole auction for this big, it was a big, big nonprofit. And it got to the point where we ended up having like an hour-long conversation about me doing work for her company that is completely separate from this nonprofit. And we've had a few calls now, and looking forward to that relationship and that new client, totally out of nowhere, because I just put myself out there, reached out, and my only intention was to give, but I
Mm-hmm.
ended up receiving a new client.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's another good point. If you go into it not expecting to receive anything, you're oftentimes able. If you go in not expecting to receive, you oftentimes do receive. Because I'll go, just like what I was saying, I'll go into um, an event to where I'm speaking to seniors just to give them education, and I used to not be like this. When you're younger and you're hungry, like everything, you want to make a sale, want to make a sale. But if you just focus on giving value and giving back to other people, because I always go into those, and that's why I'm never nervous to talk about anything, is because I'm not there to sell anything. I'm there to share information. And if you can't trick someone into buying. Like if you just share information and it clicks with them that they need that, that you have to offer, then it's just going to feel so much more natural to them, and not feel like a sales pitch or anything. If you could always show value to people, then it's going to click in their head, and no sleazy sales tactics trying to get people to buy stuff. If you're just out there to show them, like, here are the benefits and how it can better serve you. Because remember, like, people are still very self-centered, so they're always thinking in their head, how does this help me? Um, and then if you get into sales tactics of where you're not being truthful and trustful or trustworthy to someone, that's gonna shine, and then everything's gonna backfire on you, because you're gonna be that person that was very manipulative and not truthful, not trustworthy, and everything you've tried to build is kind of gone.
Yeah. Well, I think that kind of wraps up this episode. I hope that we've inspired you to get involved in a nonprofit and, go in with the most positive intentions to help and grow your network and your visibility, and share it. Share the work that you do and how you help, because people want to see that, and people want to see how you care for others and how you show up in your life, just beyond a little bit with just what you do for work. So share what you do. I hope this holiday season you also get inspired to give back. I know there's lots of Toys for Tots. We just donated for one for a Friendsgiving that we went to. But wherever you can to try to help others that are in need. And also, I totally forgot to say this, but my book too, Limitless Women, all the proceeds for the initial launch of the book from Amazon were all going to, and I can't remember the name of
We'll say that on the next episode.
But it is the Christmas Kids. There's a bigger name for the organization, but all the proceeds from the book, and I have a lot of people that did purchase. All of that is going to help underprivileged kids get Christmas presents this year, from the money made off of our book that hit #1 bestseller.
And we're super proud of you for that.
Yeah.
Super excited.
Yeah. And so encouraging people to buy through that to, all the proceeds go to nonprofit work.
And I guess even just a closing thought is, no matter what you do or no matter who you are, like, everybody has something special to give to someone else in their life, so nobody here was put on earth by mistake. If you're willing to go out there and really just give yourself to other people, and see where that leads you, I think you'll be, pleasantly surprised at the results. So with that, I guess we'll close it out.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Encourage you to donate whatever you can this holiday season. Take care. Thanks for listening. We hope that you enjoyed listening to this episode as much as we enjoyed creating it. Make sure that you follow On Brand Designs on all social media pages and on Instagram, The Profitable Brand Designer, to get the latest episodes, releases, and tips and tricks for brand designers. And also,
you can also follow us as a couple on Instagram at Profitable Brand Couple. That's profitable.brand.couple. So we hope you follow us there and like and comment.
And subscribe and follow us on YouTube to see us in action.
There you go.
Thanks for joining.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.